must be 8 or 9 years ago, we had a vet come through, old Walter Reed. He was a radio man with an Army platoon in Iraq, and his platoon commander had stepped on the mine, lost his leg, and the radio operator had lost his eye and had TBI and got a titanium rod in his leg and a few other things. He wasn't an amputee, but he used to come over to the MATSE to see his platoon commander. And his platoon commander had gone to West Point. The radio operator had gone to a 4-year college out in California. The radio operator was twice as smart as the platoon commander. I've told him that, and I've told the platoon commander that. Anyway, HT came to our class, and we invited him to sit in, and he sat in, never really said much, and he got a job going with a defense industry company, Lockheed Martin or one of those, where you come in as a real nice job, and every Memorial Day and 4th of July they will roll out their wounded veterans and they have a parade, and he couldn't stand it. And about 4 years after coming to class, he calls me up one day and says, I think I want to start a construction company. Now, HT had never really built anything other than foxholes and huts in Iraq and things like that, but he's a smart, bright kid with a lot of energy, Vietnamese American. And he started asking me, what should I do, Bob? I said, well, first of all, you got to learn something about construction. You can study construction for 20 years, but you ought to tie in with somebody that's been out building 10, 15, $20 million to be your project guy if you're going to go into commercial construction. Secondly, you got to get certified in the state of California as a contractor. Thirdly, you got to get registered with the various agencies that you might be interested in working with, whether it's Department of DOD or the VA, to get registered as a veteran qualified contractor with those guys. Each has their own process of doing it. Also, if you want to work for the city of San Francisco, you want to work for the school system, you want to work for the BART system, you got to go through their paperwork. Well, HT is a very meticulous, studious guy, and he did all this stuff.
Yeah.
He found a guy who was a real good construction guy, there was good chemistry. They decided to create this company together. HT was good at managing the process, bringing it together, recognized when he had to get legal help, when he had to get accounting help. He also needed a guy to help him with sales and marketing, and I happen to know a real estate developer that was pretty good at doing real estate development, and a wheeler dealer, and wasn't afraid to knock on the door of anybody and could get his nose in and sell the case. So HT went through all this, probably took him about 1.5 years to pull this together. Long story short, he got set up in San Francisco, started doing construction, picking off a job here, a job there. We helped him bid some work with Turner that he got. 4.5, 5 years later, he's doing $40 million worth of work a year, got 100 employees, and somewhere around 12 or 13 of them are veterans. Now, this guy did all the right things in the right process. And the reason I'm telling you this is this morning driving in today, I get a call from another wounded vet that I met 3 years ago, double amputee living down in North Carolina. Double amputee, got his stomach pretty badly blown up, went through a real tough rehab here. His wife was in law school. When he was in rehab, she had to drop out of law school to take care of him. Since he's gone back to North Carolina, he's had a house built by one of the charity groups that builds houses for veterans. His wife has gone back to finish law school, and they've adopted a kid. And he's playing pretty good golf and shooting in the 80s as a double above knee amputee. And he sent me an email over the weekend and called me today, and I said, Andrew, I knew you were going to get a hold of me one of these days. I knew you wouldn't be happy playing golf and having a kid and building a house. Yeah, he says, I want to start a construction company. So we talked about this, and we talked about options. I said, well, you have got some experience. He had worked as a contractor part-time in summers before he went to service. He enlisted in the Army. He had done college, or some college. I don't think he had finished. And he liked it. He liked the construction thing. He also recognized that now he wasn't going to be able to go out and swing a hammer and put roofing on the roofs of houses. He was going to have to manage a business. So we were discussing ideas. I said, you know, you can get in the home construction business. You can do modifications on houses. He said there was a program down there where he could go to 30 or 40 hours of classes and get his contractor's license. I said, great idea, sign up for it. He's got a buddy of his who is in the home building business. Start spending time with your buddy, hanging around with him, see what interests he has, see what ideas he might have that maybe you could some way, shape, or form join a business with him. You don't necessarily need a disabled vet-owned business because you're not looking to do government work. But you can go in a home building business and maybe you can be a partner with him or maybe do it for a few years till you start your own. I said, why not also talk to the group that built your disabled vet-owned house? There's half a dozen of these organizations around the country. A couple of them know what they're doing. A whole lot of them don't know what they're doing. Maybe there's a role you can get involved with them. You can help them with overseeing the projects that they're doing, building houses for vets. I said, do you know Gary Sinise? Well, it turns out he knew of Gary Sinise. He'd been to some events here at Walter Reed where Gary Sinise was doing charities for vets. Gary Sinise has done all sorts of things for vets. Gary Sinise is also building homes for vets. I said, why not talk to him? You might be able to do something for him. And I said, by the way, I know this guy, H.T. Tran, who called me 8 years ago with the same idea, or 6 years ago. I said, you ought to talk to H.T. Tran because you're both in the Army, you're both enlisted, you both are thinking of doing something in the business world. He's been there, done that. And by the way, H.T. is in the process of selling his $50 million a year business right now. Maybe you could come up with some good ideas from H.T. Talk to another vet that's been through this process. So we're going through all this, and I said, you know, I had another vet come through this program, 7, 8 years ago, and he went back to Pennsylvania, and he started buying foreclosed homes and fixing them up and selling them with no advisors anywhere. He'd just go in, figured out how to bang it up, put up drywall, put up plywood, put a new bathroom in, and sell them. And he's making money doing it. So Andrew tells me, Bob, I've already bought 3 rental properties. I said, Andrew, you're already doing this. I don't know why you're talking to me. He's got 3 properties that he's buying, fixing up, and renting. So this is how this process came about, and it fit them. Now, I've told HT, that's the guy that started the construction company first, when you start your own company, you got to put your heart and soul into it, and it better be something you like. Yeah. Because if you can't stand it, you ain't going to be happy going to work. Well, he says, you know, I find myself working 18 hours a day and I don't have time for my 2 kids. I told HT, when you sell that and you buy several franchises, you're going to be working 19 hours a day. So think about what you're doing, but you got to be doing something that you like, something that you have a passion for. And you'd be astounded how many people you can turn to.